listen to Carol and swear to God, she's looking at me miserable. Yeah, go on, say hello, introduce yourself at least.
Hello.
Yeah? Hello. All right.
Now, right, practicing our Thai. Okay. So, oh, I've forgotten it now. Swadika. Dichanshu. Jane.
Swadika.
What? Hello.
Hello. What? Swadika.
Right. So, this is Ko Thong, which was shit.
Oh, Jane, come on. It wasn't quite that bad. There was.
It was shit.
Well, all right. There was a lot of it. Was.
It was diseased. It was disgusting. It was in a swamp.
Okay, that's her speaking now. Yeah, this is the swamp. Trotting away in front. We are in a swamp. Yeah. This is Mr. Chu's wonderful diner and wrecked bike collection. Yes. This is where we've spent our time eating and stuff like that.
Only for 2 days.
Well, for 2 days.
And then we discovered the chickens.
Yes.
And the rats.
Yes. And cockroaches. There's Mr. Chu's motorcycle collection.
Yeah, that's his hire fleet, including his hired bicycle.
Yes.
And his spare bedding.
And this is the path heading towards the beach now. Which at this time, everything looks nice. It's a really nice long empty beach. It goes on for miles, and there's like little islands, sort of like looking pretty off the coast and everything like that.
We did kind of wonder why there were no other people there.
Yes.
And we quickly worked out that one.
Yes. Yes.
And that's because it was shit.
Yes. We did notice that sort of like the conifers that are all along the beach there were somewhat. They're not sort of natural. They're not indigenous. You know, we're sort of.
Well, it's because they ripped up the mangroves. The mangroves have the ability, with their root structure, to hold in sediments that are deposited by the sea, and in ripping them out, they cause massive amounts of erosion to the coastline, and they replace them with a cash crop of conifers.
But if you listen to the Blue Glue in diving, one of our dive instructors decided to go and rip out the mangrove because he said, "Oh no, that was unnatural. No, let's have more conifers."
Well, yes, we said about them the better.
Anyway, going for a swim here. This is Jane's first time in the water. Well, not first time in the water, but first time snorkeling, wasn't it? Yeah?
No.
Wasn't it your first time snorkeling?
No.
Oh no, you said you'd had a lesson, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah? But you didn't get on very well with.
I had a lesson in North Wales with a very good friend of mine called Will, and he stood on the side of the small pond, laughing and almost falling over because every time I put the mask on and put my head under the water, I panicked and screamed. So this, however, as you can see, beautiful fish. You've got seaweed, you've got anemones, you've got coral forming there, and more fish. What concerned me was just before we went out, I did some reading about the sort of environment we were going into. Being an environmental scientist, I thought I should really show some prior knowledge before just jumping in and stepping on whatever is there. So obviously you've got newly formed corals. There's a reef further out to sea, and coral being a very, very easy to damage life form, you have to be very careful with. But I also discovered that the lionfish and the snails have potentially deadly stings on them and toxins in them. The snail in particular is supposed to be a horrific death that is almost incurable. So if you get a serious enough sting, you ain't going to make it. There's also stonefish, and of course there's jellyfish and all sorts of nasties. So when I went in the water, I was actually really frightened, and then I stuck my head under the water and it was like Finding Nemo. It was beautiful, and all my fears just melted away.
Yes.
As you can see, I did actually keep my trainers on though, because I didn't want to step on anything that could cause me any problems. So
we were quite careful to sort of when you stand on sandy bits and stuff like that.
And not only that, this rock that you can see now is also quite sharp. So this is just a little bit around the bay. There's a beautiful river here, which looks very shallow and looks to be deceiving. It did actually at one point come up to my knees when we were crossing on a beautiful day like this. Towards the end of our stay there though, it had risen significantly, so it was waist deep when the tide was out. So yeah, and that was because of the amount of sediment carried away by the river, because there was a monsoon came in, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
So,
These are the two islands. You can see between them from this angle.
There is a small channel between them.
Another island in the distance, the next island
Yeah.
down. But yeah, there is a small channel between
And
those two.
between the beach and the islands, there is that beautiful, freshly grown corals.
Which we did want to explore, but
We did, but we didn't get the chance.
yeah,
As you can see, there were days there when it was spectacularly
it was
beautiful.
amazingly beautiful. And this is, and you can see it's something out of South Pacific. Yeah, don't worry, you can hear a bit in the headphones there. It's, a bit out of South Pacific here.
This is the Andaman Peninsula.
Yes.
And what was the name of the ocean there?
It's the Andaman Sea.
The Andaman Sea,
protected.
which is coming off the Indian Ocean.
Yes.
So, and that's particularly beautiful beach. This beach went on for what, about 10 miles?
Yeah, something like that. I do a photo sort of zoom down to the ending a little bit, but yeah, it just goes on, and it's just beautiful.
And you've got fishing boats in the distance.
Yeah.
So, now,
This is the bit between. That's the next beach up, and the beach from the beach we're on. So this goes on in different directions.
Yeah.
And now we're going to climb up to that rocky outcrop and just have a look at the view.
So as an experienced mountain leader and rock climber, Carol sent me up first, and that way I could help Carol climb up this back, which was, when we got to the top, was about 70 feet high.
Yeah.
And as you can see, Carol climbed up after me. Did you enjoy it?
No. It was all a bit, I enjoyed this bit. It was a really nice view from the top.
Yeah.
It was a little bit, because everything's falling down, the ropes were rotten, and the corrosion now was sort of serious,
Corrosion?
Erosion,
Yeah.
Erosion on that side, we were walking along quite an edge.
Well, absolutely. This was a small headland coconut. It was natural rock with very thin coating of soil. Had a few trees on it, as you can see. And you can see the rock relief. It dropped down there. It was about 70 feet. And it was fairly steep as well, so if you had gone down, you would have got hurt.
Yeah. I'll leave it in a second, because we actually do our own little bit of commentary. You're speaking, yeah? So we'll leave it at the time, in the wind, standing on the tip, yeah? So we'll leave you to do the talking in a minute, but at the time, and we'll come back and do the commentary in a second. But there's my zoom out into the distance there.
Yeah. Yeah, 10 miles of beach, fishing boat.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and we did.
We walked down a bit of that.
Yeah, we had a bit of fun, didn't we?
Yeah.
So, now, interesting, you can see there's a little bit of white water there, the waves are starting to come in, clouds in the sky. Things are starting to get interesting.
It was starting to get interesting.
You can see there's a little bit of white capping out at sea, the waves on the rocks down there. So, this is the monsoon on its way into us.
You tell us how high we are?
Yeah.
With this high!
Got a sheer drop that side, a sheer drop this side, and we're roughly 70 foot above the beach.
Thank you.
So if we fell off here, we're probably going to get a broken leg.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mm.
Potential spinal injury, and if you fell head first, it might even kill you.
Ah, that's so
Chances
comforting,
are
darling.
You take a slide down,
Yeah?
and you'd tumble sideways, and you'd hit the bottom, and you'd break your leg.
Yeah, okay.
Possibly both of them.
Yeah. So reassuring. Thank you, babe.
It is reassuring, because if it was without these tufted grassy bits and the bushes and so on, if it was just a straight drop, clear, like a climbing crag, then you'd really hurt yourself.
Yeah.
So, a friend of mine fell off a crag like this, broke his spine,
Mm.
and he was in hospital for about 3 weeks. 6 weeks later, he was climbing again.
Yeah. That's wonderful. And good for him.
He was
Personally-
an absolute lunatic.
Personally, I'm not.
Do you want to see the hut?
No. No. And I will explain. I've got, in fact, taking a photograph of the hut. I will make my way back to the hut along this wonderful little ridge, which is absolutely beautiful, all mind. And I'm glad that we came up here. You will notice that I am being a little bit ginger in my footing because I'm walking on grass and rocks and things, and I could fall off that side. Now I might just break my leg and then drown, which is great, yeah? Or that side's not so bad. Maybe I'll hit a tree, bring my fall a bit. But the view is just brilliant. You know. However, the hut, is somewhat lacking in floor.
Oh, it's a bit wrong, isn't it?
It is a bit wrong, isn't it? Now, which makes the question of like, how much of the unrotten bits do we trust? Being as that one is broken and it's broken just by the rafter.
That one's broken. They're all broken.
That one's broken just by the rafter. And that one's gone completely. And so I think I'll give that a miss. Yeah, okay. It looks pretty. No, babe, don't try it. We're too far away from medical care.
Oh, we're back now. We're speeding. I've been down the beach. I speeded this up a little bit now, but this is when you just walk through, and they've recently planted this, so I think people just walk straight past and then realise this is the oasis, the little restaurant, the big Buddha resort, yeah, which was Golden Buddha Resort, which was a posh resort up the road, yeah, and we went there and stopped and almost saved our lives, you know. We had to pay for it, but the food was really nice, yeah.
Yeah,
And
there's a
surroundings-
very old colonial style to it though.
Yeah.
So you know, you kind of almost
Yeah.
expect
Look
to
at
see a little.
Tea, and computer. What was the first thing? Oh, food. I was right. Food, tea, computer.
Yeah. Well, that's because we didn't have an internet connection anywhere else on the island,
Yeah.
did we?
And the crap book wouldn't work.
No. So yeah, Samsung crap book. That's well named.
We'll have to beep that, won't we, if you're going.
Why?
Well, yeah, this is true.
We bought it from PC World with the aim of taking it somewhere we wouldn't have internet connection, and we were assured it would work offline. It didn't.
It didn't, no. Mm.
So yeah, that was a waste of time.
Yes. But anyway, it was a lovely meal, and as we started to walk back, we're about 2 miles away from where we're actually staying at Mr. Chew's. This
2
is-
miles away on a walk along a beach with very soft golden sand.
which is absolutely beautiful.
You can see I've already taken my shoes off because it got to the point it wasn't worth having shoes on,
No.
just because everything filled up with sand.
Mm.
And as you see, the beach is spectacularly beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's postcard stuff. Nobody else around.
Yeah.
Although there was. Yes.
Yeah, there was about 3 people on the beach, including us, maybe
Mhm.
4.
Yeah.
So, but we quickly worked out why that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, the waves are getting a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it was just
So,
starting. Although
you
at
can
this
see
point, the wind had started to pick up, hadn't it? It was
Yeah.
starting to get a bit breezy.
Yeah, and you can also see in the sky above there's a weather front up there.
Mm.
So, and that was the monsoon coming in. And we also, I think, was it on this walk that we spotted the jellyfish on the beach?
No, I think it was the following day.
Was it?
Because
Okay.
we are still
Yeah.
quite early now. It was picturesque and there's just, but there was a change to it, and the rumours had started, hadn't it? This whole
Yeah.
thing about the monsoon's coming in, best stay out of the water and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
Oh,
which
okay. What else is
scuppered
here?
our plans to go and do more snorkeling.
Yeah.
Because as the monsoon waves came inland, they churned up the seabed, making the water cloudy. We also brought in the fish looking for sheltered water, and the fish also included jellyfish, who aren't technically fish in their own right. They are a colony of polyps and things like that. And they're very unusual creatures. So, but yeah, and of course jellyfish come with stinging cells, and some of the jellyfish in the ocean around there are quite poisonous. So that kind of shot our further diving trips in the foot.
Yes.
Or,
Yeah. We had, we did inquire about going over to the island, and we were planning on there. And after being informed that, the woman from Blue Guru Diving, was quite firmly told us that
they don't like people going out to the island because, and quote, they step all over our corals.
And I mean, hold on a minute, you're a European woman. I didn't realise that there was any Europeans or anybody else before, none Thais, who were allowed to own any of Thailand. And hey ho, but
yes.
and
not accounting for the fact either that I'm a qualified environmental scientist.
and we had
Not
no
that I love
intention.
to tell people I've got a degree in environmental science.
No,
I think
no.
this is the third time I've mentioned it in this commentary. But of course that's because I did read up before we went out there.
Yeah, and we would be careful anyway, and all we wanted to know was the tide times, so that we can make a safe sort of,
Yeah, and
trip
we
out
could
there.
go out there and avoid damaging anything precious and beautiful that was living on the rocks. But no, instantly she were morons. And what we have here is the hermit crabs.
Yeah, sorry about the picture. I did this like digital zoom, really. I zoomed in on it, and it's not particularly.
It's okay
good.
because we dropped this camera, didn't we?
This one, yeah, I think we did, didn't it?
Yeah, we dropped this camera and broke it.
Yes.
So we've got to
I
go and buy a
couldn't
new
see.
one now.
Yeah, that's it. I can see it. That's a hermit crab
in the black shell,
yeah.
about to move into the white shell.
Yeah,
because it's a
moving
bit
up.
bigger.
Yeah, that's it.
So, and we did notice hermit crabs almost everywhere along the beach, and they came in some really interesting colours.
Now this is where Blue Goo. This is the next resort up to ours, which is sort of a little bit better than Mr. Jews. They actually did some decent food there.
Was this the day we walked out in the rain?
Yeah.
And we were absolutely soaked.
Yeah.
We were soaked to the skin,
But it-
but it was warm.
There's the guy that said about sort of ripping out the.
And you can see what they were
mangrove.
doing here.
Yeah.
Again, you've got the plantation in the background there, the cash crop of conifers. You've got other trees around here. They built this bridge over a ditch, which I couldn't quite figure out what was going on. So
Some
but
sort
yeah,
of drainage
you can
there,
see.
isn't it? Yeah. It must work because when they get the monsoon rains and stuff, it must fill up there and stuff.
Yeah. And
a
in
bit
case you're
protection.
wondering what the yellow thing is in my hair, it's actually my Petzl head torch. And it's the Duo torch, and it's
Nice.
fantastic.
From where Blue Guru are based, this is
Their tractor. And I wasn't sure what the engine was on that.
It's a Kabuto, sort of like they have it on a lot of things. The standard Kabuto little diesel engine, but it powers diggers, it dumpers, all sorts of odd things. It's like a small little. Yeah.
And you see they've got a
Diesel
really
engine.
nice site there as well.
Yeah,
that was
it
a
is
building
right.
site that they were going through. And I've got my nice gothic dress and walking boots on.
This is walking through the sort of behind where the resorts are in the jungle. Yeah.
People think that this is speeded up, but this is actual Carol's real walking speed. And it wears me out trying to walk at this speed with her. You want yakety sax in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you're going to do that though, you also need to have nurses in their underwear chasing us.
We didn't have any of them.
No.
In fact, there wasn't a lot of anything chasing us there.
No.
It really wasn't.
And we were also, I do believe it was at about 6 o'clock at night was when 5 o'clock was when the cicadas kicked off, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was just getting dark, and because it's so close to the equator, you've got 12-hour days, 12-hour nights. And it was just spectacular. And you go from almost complete silence to this incredible screaming whistle of the cicadas. And bearing in mind they're only a beetle that's about 2 inches long at the biggest. The noise they make is fantastic.
Yeah. So,
So
this is
yeah, you can see now the iron sky in the background there.
yeah.
As the weather's changing.
Definitely starting to change now, and
Yeah.
and you can't really see it in the waves here. This is like a calmer day. The wind.
Well,
was regularly
this also
picking up.
this bay. This is Mr. Chew's bay, and this
Yeah.
bay was sheltered somewhat.
Yeah.
So you didn't get the waves here that you got further around the headland.
But it was starting to just
Yeah.
the whole feel of it, and because you can't go in the water. Mr. Chew's got a hard bike which is sort of death trap and dangerous, and we really didn't think before we could, if we started riding away, we'd probably collapse on us at some point. I think we pushed
the
out.
fact it had no brakes,
Yeah.
the throttle jammed, and
Yeah. Here we are. This is you
Yeah.
can see it starting to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were starting to think that maybe we'd made a mistake by this point, because the food at Mr. Chew's was frankly appalling.
Yeah. He had some woman in to do the cooking at first.
And I think we offended her
Yeah.
by not eating the gruel she placed in front of us.
Because we had a curry. I had a curry, and you had something else, and you had something in yours.
You had musselman, actually, or whatever it's called. Musselman.
Yeah.
And I had green curry, and
yeah.
it was disgusting.
It's stuff that we've eaten before, but the dish of rice came up, and it looked like it had bits of chicken feed in there. And the problem was, whatever the rice was, whether it was supposed to be like that or not, it was stone cold, and it was
it was gooey, and it had things in it.
Yeah, it just wasn't right. It just didn't taste right. So the rice got left. The following morning, we went into Mr. Chew's for breakfast, and we had omelette. Now I've had lots of omelettes in Thailand. The Thais tend to be really good at having omelettes. It's sort of it's a staple. Have a breakfast, have an omelette. They're really good at it. Not Mr. Chew.
Big waves.
Yeah, you can see those waves are picking up now.
Yeah.
Mr. Chew, when he did the omelette and toast, look at that one.
Yes.
Yeah, he serves us up omelette and toast, and when we look into, Jane looks into the kitchen, there's chickens on the working surface. Yeah.
Eating the bread that he'd just cooked toast from.
So,
and they'd been pecking around all over the work surfaces, eating his food. They were pecking in the rice. They were defecating on the work surfaces. And then they discovered that he was also gobbing on the floor and gobbing around places. He also had a wall in the kitchen that had fallen down because the amount of rubbish that was piled up against it on the other side.
The rubbish was spewing out.
And it was spreading out everywhere. He had bags of rubbish dumped around the back by his washroom. And it was disgusting.
It was disgusting.
However, this wasn't.
This is all part of the big Buddha, Golden Buddha Resort, which is really, really posh. We didn't see any monkeys on Monkey Hill.
No, we wanted to go back, but it worked out with the weather being as bad as it was. We ended up escaping.
Because as you can see, there's bits where the sun's shining. We're still getting blasted, but that day
more
was
swamp.
particularly that was very windy as well. We were getting there.
The whole island was swamp.
Yeah.
Oh, Carol smoking,
which
you're trying to quit now, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. But that's by and by. Yeah.
And yes, you can see the lovely, the lovely swamp. And this, of course, was devastated by the big tsunami as well.
Yeah, we do feel sorry because a lot of this was devastated by tsunami and stuff like that. So
when was that? Was that 2007, 2009?
Yeah. But at the same time, there's horses for courses, really. You think they've done all right at this Golden Buddha, but it's really, really expensive to stay there.
And
there's no shop.
Yeah, on the whole island there is one shop.
Yeah, and it's 5 kilometres away from these 3 resorts. Yeah. So whichever Mr. Chew's, the Golden Buddha, or
Blue Guru,
or the Blue Guru, where Blue Guru are, there's no shops. Maybe by the time somebody watches it and go, oh yeah, I'll start up a shop, but there's nothing there.
Those are the huts of the Golden Buddha,
which are very, very nice.
You can see the difference there between theirs and the ones that we rented.
Maybe they come with all mod cons there.
Oh, they do, don't they? Because they've got a massive diesel generator.
Yeah.
So
the whole back.
There's ours.
But there's ours, yeah.
And that plastic Coke bottle there is the lampshade.
Yes. For the generator, but only came on when he chose to.
And you can also see the rather spectacular wiring there as well.
Yeah. That's
There's the swamp at the back of our hut.
Yeah, that is literally next to the hut. So no beach, and that's what I think Mr. Mr. Chew, not Mr.
Not
Bow.
Mr. Bow. Mr. Bow is lovely.
Mr. Bow is lovely.
Right.
This is where we're eating. Yeah.
Yes. This is also the place where I sat there one night in the hope that he would keep the power on so Carol could charge the phone batteries. There I am playing with the hermit crabs.
Yes, lovely little
So
one.
yeah, I caught crabs whilst I was there.
That was the only entertainment, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a rather beautiful big blue hermit crab.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, sorry, I didn't actually harm the animal, but I did annoy it to the point where it clipped me with its claw quite hard, and I went and put him down. You can also see the state of my terrible nails there. So, but you can see it's a lovely blue colour.
Yeah.
And they were so gentle, and they were so interested in what was going
a
on.
beautiful thing.
Now these lovely beetles, they were what, inch and a half long?
Yeah, yeah.
And they
kamikaze, they just crashed.
Yeah, they'd fly around and they'd just like land upside down on this in the sand, kicking their legs.
It was rumoured that Mr. Bow puts them in the curry. Mr. Chew puts them in the curry.
Yes, Mr. Chew.
Mr. Chew. Yeah.
Get this right. You have to say the right
Chew,
person.
yeah. That's the frog we used to live in our. Probably still lives in our little.
Yeah, there you go.
hut.
Beautiful little hermit crab.
Yeah. That was a little lizard that danced around and sort of,
So, we did see some wildlife there, but not as much as I would have hoped for.
No.
And so we're nowhere near the amount that we saw when we stayed at the place before, which was Mr. Bow's.
Yeah.
In the rainforest.
In the rainforest.
Kalsak.
Yeah, that was beautiful. We're not being sour grapes. When we say about like the food and stuff like that, we have spent our time going around Thailand at this point.
Yeah.
And at this time, Mr. Chew is borrowing my Leatherman in order, because we haven't had any water all day, any shower
because
water.
his pump broke because it was so old and worn out.
So he had to borrow my Leatherman.
He had to cut a piece of old
rubber,
mudguard, I think it was, from a truck.
To make a new gasket for his water pump, so we could all have showers. He might have been able to come up with a sharp knife, I don't know, but I wanted it done that night.
Yeah, there's the lovely beetles. Yeah. And yes, he was capturing them, and yes, he did put them in the curry.
Yeah, he was using them in the curry.
So, and we discussed this with other people we stayed with, and they were equally horrified, particularly when we went to Ko Samui. Oh, there you go. Yes. Hermit crab living in an old jar.
Yeah, well, I think it's a plastic plumbing thing. There's a pipe end thing. Yeah. Yes.
So, and yeah, he, as you can see, he's a real catch. Is our Mr. Chew there. On the night that he did stay up and get very, very drunk and make a pass at me, he was saying that he was the perfect catch because he owned his own taxi and he had a big motorbike, and he expected all the women travellers on his site to want to sleep with him. Yes. Which, I found rather amusing.
That's his bar.
Yes.
Which
as you can see, he had an awful lot of drink available. The problem was, I think he drank most of it.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Now then, you can tell by now that it's pretty grim here.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the ducks and that he had ducks, geese, and chickens, and he roamed around, but he ate the beetles.
Yeah.
Which is, it is said that eventually more people will have to eat insect protein, just because.
There's
the hornbill.
Yeah, we had hornbills. That's the one saving grace from where we were staying. There were hornbills up in the trees, and they were beautiful.
And you managed to see one, and I didn't. But I did find all the wolf spiders.
Yeah.
And at this point here, I'd just been looking, and I'd found a quite ferocious wolf spider.
Well, we started.
More crabs.
That's a crab.
Not a wolf spider.
No, that's not a wolf spider.
But the crabs are beautiful.
Yeah. But as we walk up into the undergrowth, it's just all these the little darker areas, isn't it? Just the little holes where there's
because obviously there's pine needles everywhere because of the cash crop, and the pine needles have effectively wiped out the natural flora.
It's more of the swamp.
More of the swamp there with some of the grasses and the standing water and the mosquitoes.
Yes.
Which we were plagued by.
Yeah. Well, I wonder why when we're next to a swamp, Yeah.
But in the pine needles were these small burrows, about 1/4 of an inch across, and inside the burrow was a rather ferocious wolf spider. Another beetle. We also did we come across any No, we didn't see any of the huntsman spiders or anything. But
No.
they were all fairly small.
Oh, this
Yeah.
looks
So,
like
oh, beautiful damselfly there, or
Yeah.
dragonfly.
Yeah,
I think it's a dragonfly.
Yeah.
maybe me.
But
That
they,
was
you know,
beautiful, yeah.
there were some beautiful animals around,
Mm.
just not that
Yeah.
many.
If all
No.
those little holes have got
No,
the same sort of
quite
spiders in
void.
it.
And of course, these things, the nymphs of these creatures, all are laid as eggs and then develop in water. These are the chickens,
Yeah,
and they're
it's
breeding
chickens.
like hell.
Yeah, more and more
So
chickens.
because they're just running around,
Mm.
you know, and
It's
he
lovely,
feeds
but,
them all
yeah.
the time, and it's lovely having them around until you find them
Mm.
in your food stock.
Yes, that's it.
So
It's
the
under
beach at
control,
night,
yeah.
beautiful
That's
sunset.
it, yeah. Well, we're at this, but this is the point now where we're deciding that we've got to get
Yeah.
off the island.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
it's
trying to
a-
work out
yeah.
how
It's
we go.
really nice,
know.
but it's getting, if we don't get off the island, we're not going to be able to get off the island.
Yeah.
So it's abandoned ship, so to speak.
Yeah. And
you
which
can
we
see
did.
that's, you know, that was fresh, wasn't it? Until we get up the morning and find that there was a load of new debris on the beach after the
And
storm.
the
Yeah.
trees, more trees had come down as
Yeah.
the storm surge had come in,
Yeah,
and we just went to hell with this.
we've got to get off the
Um,
island,
We said, right, we're leaving.
and we're going to head for Ko Samui. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, there you go. Now, rather sadly, he did actually have wading birds that he'd caught and had kept in a cage, and they were in a cage that was roughly 4 foot by 3 foot. And of course, wading birds need to be out wading, not stuck in a cage, dying. You know? Yeah, there was no malicious intent to it. I did ask him about it, but his knowledge of what the wading birds needed was somewhat lacking, as was what they needed.
you see that now. It's
Yeah.
you know. And it doesn't look that, but it's everything's got a darker feel to it, and there's a good bit of a wind picking up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's
They can't go in the water to see
Yeah.
jellyfish. There's the
Yeah.
spirit houses.
and we're abandoning Ko Thong. So, if you
Ko Thong.
Ko Thong is a nice island, yeah. But if you're going to go there, take everything that you need with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots
And-
of bug repellent.
Yeah. And, yeah. If I were you, I'd find somewhere nicer,
Yeah.
because there is. It's beautiful, but you can do better.
It's the sort of place you're going to go, providing that you're going to sit on the beach and paint for days and days and days.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy?
That should do it, shouldn't it?
There you go. I'll leave you to edit that. Listen back to it.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, shove it up your arse.